big changes for one of the key avionics companies that are in the market. Let's find out what those changes are.
In the hangar.
Big changes at Aspen.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, we've been working at this for a long time. Aspen had merged with a bunch of companies and made the decision to try to go public so we could fund our developments and grow and have access to capital and be able to compete against the bigger guys. And about 3.5 years ago, we combined several companies into four divisions of our company, and the company's called the Aero Group. It's and in that company, those that merged were Aspen Avionics. We had a military training organization called Coastal Defense.
Okay.
They joined us. Jaunt Air Mobility, which is an eVTOL player. And then we have a drone division for a company called Skywatch in Denmark. And so these companies came together and we decided that the best path for us was to go public. Now, we didn't realize what that really meant until we got into it. And 2.5 years later, we went public on June 13th under the Aero Group, and now that opens up all kinds of new opportunities for not only our products, but our people and our leadership and all that good stuff.
What was the pain point? In other words, going public and joining these other three companies, what was the pain point that led to that?
You know, it's being able to compete, the access to capital. At the end of the day, the bigger players are taking over a lot of the things. They have leverage with the amount of capital they have to invest. We have a lot of smaller players in the industry in all different markets, and all those markets I was talking about. And you really need capital because the competition, the innovation is going so fast, and it is so impactful for the pilots and users that if you can't keep up and you don't have the resources to keep up, you're going to fall by the wayside. And so that really is the pain point. Yep. Most of us are pilots. We want to see it. We want to see that technology go, and there's a lot of pride in work, your employees. It's just that created a momentum for us to go this path.
With this, what does the solution enable you guys now to do?
So first of all, what it does is gives us, I'll call it, industry credibility, right? Public company, you're able to talk to customers with some sense of, I will be there tomorrow. Because that's a big deal in our industry, right? I mean, people come and go, right? And a guy that's going to invest in his aircraft wants somebody that's going to have some staying capability. I mean, we've been here for 20 years and people still question it, whether we're going to be around 25 years. So at the end of the day, that is a big change for us.
Yeah, support's a big deal, so understand.
It is,
Yeah.
and people want to understand and feel that you're going to be there. Secondarily, the ability to have access to capital in a way that allows us to prioritize what's important and have more control of our destiny through that path. Is really the second thing. The third thing is what comes next. And we just went public a month ago, so everybody's going, what's next? And I'm like, oh, just relax, it's coming. And also all the different rules of being a public company. Can't talk about forward-looking things. You can't do things that you can in a private company. That's the downside of going public. But that's easily explainable.
Okay, so let's make sure we ask them the forward-looking questions.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you'll get my lawyer's answer. We can't talk about forward-looking things.
We'll see if we can try to trick them at some point.
Yeah, exactly. We give them a
stay on
little
your
scotch.
toes.
Yes, I will.
The other nice thing with having these four divisions is they can really feed off each other, right? So
synergy.
Don't be surprised to see Aspen Avionics and some of our CDI aircraft, or with Jaunt and so forth. So it's nice that we cross over these various segments, and that will help us get to market faster as well as have a more complete package.
Do you think that you guys will then start to go into autopilots, Navcom GPS?
So I can't answer that question directly.
Oh, man, we both tried.
However, to compete in avionics, you need a full suite of package.
Yeah.
Garmin has done a wonderful job of providing integrated packages. They really have. I hate them as a competitor, but as a pilot, they've done a lot for the industry. At the end of the day, in order to compete, you do have to have a broader suite of capabilities and things of that nature, and those kind of things we'll be looking at and seeing where we go. That was good.
That's a good answer.
Good circular answer.
I'm getting better at it.
He's running for office next.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, actually,
It almost feels that way sometimes.
Oh, yep. That's
speaking
future-
of running
future
for
thoughts,
office,
too.
you're now the Chief Operating Officer of the new combined
Yes,
group,
yes.
right?
So, and as part of this merger, I was made President and Chief Operating Officer. So the 4 divisions report into me for the operations and sales and marketing and things of that nature. And so that's kind of an exciting role for me.
Yeah, and then before I get into Dan's new role, you've been the founder.
Well, I'm actually not the founder.
Oh, you're not the founder.
People say that. The founders were 2 gentlemen out of Eclipse.
Okay.
And they then brought on venture capitalists. And as part of that, the venture capitalists decided they needed some new people.
So you were the first VC shark.
I was the first VC
to,
shark, yes.
What's it going to be like for you now to kind of step away from that?
Okay, so for him, it might be miserable. But, it's going to be hard because I love general aviation. I love being with the pilots out here. I love talking about flying. I love doing this kind of stuff, right? Where you get to talk about flying. I'll probably have less time for that, and I will really miss that. The other part, because of my personality, this poor guy's going to have to listen to me way more than he wants to.
Not true. I actually see it as a real benefit that I can, tap them on the shoulder and ask a question. And it's rare when, someone takes a new job, they typically leave a company or something like that. But in this case, John's a phone call away, which is helpful. And I've been on the board since 2018 of Aspen. So it's a very good transition. And I'm not sick of them, by the way.
Not yet.
What were you doing before this, and what led to you getting into this position?
Yeah, sure. So I've been involved in aviation for over 30 years now. I've worked for airlines. I had a role at United as Director of Flight Operations Technology.
Oh, wow.
We commonalized over 800 airplanes when we did the United Continental merger, so pilots from either side could fly them. Also deployed the iPad as an electronic flight bag. Did a lot of industry work with A4A, Airlines for America, where I was chair and vice chair of the Airline Operations Committee numerous years. Also spent some time with Boeing right out of college, primarily on the military side of the house. I ran Metron Aviation as president, air traffic flow management. It was an Airbus subsidiary that recently they sold off. I worked for JetBlue as director of fleet strategy, so buying the aircraft and speccing out the aircraft. And that was a really fun job as well. And last couple of years, I've been flying a Phenom 300.
Nice.
Private.
Nice.
And then also doing a lot of airline and aviation consulting for private equity, other airlines, OEMs, and that sort of thing.
Is it going to be a big switch to go from a primarily 121 world down to the 91?
No, I mean, 2 weeks ago I flew a 172.
Okay.
I like any flying to me is good flying. I flew an RV probably a month before that. Recently a Cherokee 140. So no, I've really stayed plugged in to all parts of aviation, and I really enjoy GA.
Just to interrupt for a minute, we're here at the Flying Ice booth to talk about enjoying GA, and Flying Ice makes the best glasses for headsets and helmets. They're incredible. If you go to flyingeyeoptics.com, you can use our discount code, taking off all caps, one word for 10% off. I mean,
They're really great. I really hard on my stuff, and these have really held up really well.
they're super light, and you think you're going to break them, but you're not.
Yeah, you're definitely not. They're very flexible. No more headset headaches.
And also ClemensInsurance.net, when I switched over to them, those brokers went to bat for me with the underwriter, saved me over $1,000 on my plane insurance when I switched to them. So if you need insurance, not just plane insurance, any insurance, go to ClemensInsurance.net and they will help you, I promise. So just want to get that out there. And also, just so people know, I'm about to put avionics into Lola, my 210, and I'm going with the Aspen Pro Max, so I am a bit biased here. I'm going to just throw that out there. But I've had the Aspen Legacy PFD. I came with the plane when I bought it, and I'm super excited now to have the Pro Max. When you guys first started, glass was relatively new, and what was unique about Aspen, of course, was that you could put it into existing holes. That was, I guess, the calling card of what you guys were doing.
Absolutely.
How is that? Is that changing at all, or are you guys going to stay in that niche?
So I'm bringing some new ideas to the whole thing, but the one thing that extremely important to us and differentiates us from many of the avionics manufacturers, even the bigger ones, is that when you buy our stuff, we're going to take you along with us. We don't subscribe to the shiny new object avionics.
You're not going to make us have to upgrade hardware in 3 years.
So even as we go to larger screen formats and other things that you can imagine, we're going to allow a path for those that have the Pro Maxes to take advantage of that, to get it into their cockpits for a lower cost and without having to redo their cockpits. So that's who we are.
Okay, that's a forward-looking statement, and I appreciate it.
But it is also a public statement.
Okay,
so it's already public. So, but it is part of our heritage and our strategies that Dan will be taking to the next level. So that's important. So, and as part of that is the concept of being able to put it in the holes in there. Now, we're finding more and more aircraft that are not standard six-packs. They have done some things so they have different configurations, and as such, we have to adapt to that. And so, but the concepts remain the same, and I can't overstate that, because that is what makes us different. That's why all these customers that we have out in the North 40 that fly in here, they stick with us. I guarantee with my installed base of over 14,000 aircraft, my competitor would really like to grab some of those guys away. And they've been, so far, for the most part, unable to.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So hopefully this is a little bit off enough of the forward-looking thoughts avenue. We can squeeze
I think
a
I played
question
this
out
card
of
too
you.
heavy, I think. I can see I played this card too heavy.
But what are your thoughts on Mosaic? How's that's going to affect your business?
I'm going to answer a little bit, and I know Dan has the thoughts on this as being a pilot and such. I think the jury's out. I think the idea is fabulous. Incredibly good idea. It opens the world for manufacturers and users to innovate more.
Yeah.
The question for me is, once that door is open, that innovation starts, will we be able to take it to productize it, to productize the advantage of it? Because it's going to have to be put into a system that is not really conducive to the Mosaic concept. And so that change, I think, is a sea change in the potential for innovation and for pilots and for the community. And I'm really excited about it. But like any change, it's going to be interesting to watch. It creates new opportunities, is what I would say. I know you have some ideas too, Dan.
Yeah, no, I would just kind of echo that, John. I think it does create new ideas. It'll be interesting to see how it rolls out, and timing is everything too, right? So that's two things I think that are important, is the timing, and then also adoption. People's willingness to adopt.
I think I may be one of the few people that believe this, but I actually believe the FAA does a pretty good job. I really do. I mean, they have improved safety.
He's definitely running for office.
He absolutely is.
No. I really do. I've said this so many times. I appreciate that comment, by the way. But they have done. We have gone since we started. We put in an electronic display system that had to be backed up by less reliable analog systems.
Right.
And everybody said, no, they're never going to let you get away from that. Mm-hmm. Then they had safety enhancing type certification processes. They did levels of safety analyses, and now you can put in an Aspen or any electronic even and remove your vacuum system. When we started this, the thought of removing your vacuum system was a pipe dream.
Exactly.
And today we're able to do it, and that's because of these events like Mosaic, like the safety enhancing equipment certifications that created innovation for us and my competitors to introduce products that led them to that. I think Mosaic is another one of those points in history.
Out of everything on the Aspen product, on the PFD, what's the most popular feature?
Okay, I'll think about that one, because there's really 3 of them. Okay, so if you look at I'm going to categorize. So look at leaving the primary flight display as a unit. The most popular features that we see are the ability to have traffic and your flight plan on underneath the HSI and the battery backup. So if you lose your alternator, you have your flight plan, and you're able to guide your aircraft, and you can see traffic and relating to it, so you don't have to scan your eyes away to the mid panel to look at for traffic.
Okay, let me stop you right there. On the way to Osh in my 210 with my legacy Aspen PFD, 30 minutes out, I lost my alternator.
Yeah.
30 minutes out to a mid-stop. And my Aspen stayed on all the way down.
Yeah.
So
I've
yes.
had that happen to me too. I was in the middle of, I actually ended up landing in Elko, Nevada. And I tell this story because it's very relatable. So I'm flying up to Idaho. I'm over the middle of Nevada. Nobody's around. My alternator goes out. I tell ATC, well, out there you drop below 8,000 feet. You have no radios. And it just so happened that a AWACS airplane was flying up there,
wow.
and he overheard it. And so, I had the full Aspens, and so I went down to Elko, and they communicated like it was a real emergency. I kept telling them, don't worry, it's okay, I'm okay. And they followed me all the way down, and so that is my only experience with a military aviator.
Flying formation with the military.
But it's a good story, right? I mean, that is a big deal, right? The ability to back up. The second thing which people don't talk as much about is the angle of attack.
Yeah, that's
so
where I was
the angle of
heading.
attack in ours is unique for two reasons. One is that it is derived or calculated, so you don't have to have an external sensor on it. And secondarily, we give two indications on it. We give an indication on our angle of attack on the PFD in flap up and flap down. Now, people, you have to explain this to, but if you have an airplane that has a big change in your stall between the flaps up and flaps down, and my DA-40 was like that. When I take off in a DA-40, there's a wide range, so I have to get enough speed before I get my flaps up. So if you're doing something like going around and you push the throttles forward and you go to the flaps and you're too slow, you will stall. And it's visually available to you that you switch your eyes from the top display to the bottom display, and you let that get to the yellow-green, and then you climb out. That is extremely unique and is very popular with the backcountry guys especially. That is something that I don't think we talk enough about it. So that's the other feature that I think is the big one.
I can't wait to get that on
you'll
my
love
plane
it.
this
You'll love
month.
it. You'll love it. It makes a difference when you fly.
Absolutely.
What I really appreciate, and kind of really this went into my decision making on what avionics I was going to upgrade my 210 with, was I visited with the big guys, I visited with you, I visited with other people, but that was the thing, I visited with you. So here's the president of the company, and you're a pilot. You just told a story about flying a small GA plane. I went to the big guys that they can't relate in that way. So I know that I've got a pilot who's, doing pilot stuff to make sure that pilots benefit from it all. And I really appreciate that. And maybe I just have a bigger heart for the Davids versus the Goliath. But that's what went into my decision to go with Aspen. So I really appreciate you guys, and I'm glad that we can talk about this. My last question, you kind of mentioned it briefly. Will we see bigger displays with Aspen in the near future?
So, again, publicly, we have said that we are going to develop the display system for the John Air Mobility.
For the what?
The John Air Mobility eVTOL, which is ours. That is a large format screen display. So
possibly adaptable to other.
Yeah. So
types.
it's inevitable, but yeah, I mean that is an inevitable step for any display company, especially with the lower cost of displays, higher resolution. There's a lot of questions to be answered about touchscreen versus knobs, and we've talked to a lot of people about that. And I as a pilot like to grab onto something. I like having a knob. But I also like the touchscreen. So all of that will work itself out, and we'll use that platform to vet out those sorts of things. But it's an inevitable step forward for us.
One of the other things you may have seen is today we announced that we're going to have engine instrument capability,
Right.
And that's a big step, and it's public. Just announced today. So I'm
He's
pretty
getting
excited
the whole
about
public
that.
thing already.
Being able to. I can tell you how many aircraft I've been in, and the Hobbs meter doesn't work, right? So
Right.
you still have TAC and things like that, but this will, it'll do Hobbs, it'll do EGT, It has obviously RPM, cylinder head temp, and so forth. So I think that's going to be a really good add-on as well. And we're looking at the December timeframe for that as well.
Nice.
After my
Pretty
attitude
soon.
indicator, my engine monitor is the second most important instrument I look at.
Oh, there's so many GA airplanes out there still have the 1950s, 60s,
Oh, yeah.
70s,
Yeah.
50 cent, I call them 50-cent tractor gauges.
Yeah.
The little needle. It's like, okay, how accurate is that? You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's really important to have.
Well, awesome. So I'm looking forward to really jumping into the Aspen world. And I appreciate you guys coming on to share with us about what's going on and especially the future.
Can't wait to see your airplane when it's finished.
No, we were.
Oh,
we,
is that future? I think that's future.
Yeah, that's future.
may,
Yeah,
not
that's
have, may not be able to go there.
I can't tell
Oops.
you about
I
my
really
airplane
played this
right now
card too hard.
because that's forward-looking.
I never
No.
met a pilot that didn't want to talk about his airplane.
Right, yeah.
But Dan, I'd like to thank you for having us on. It was always enjoyable. We all love talking about airplanes, and we love what you're doing. We welcome you to the Aspen family, and as Dan says, can't wait to see your airplane.
All right. I'm glad to be a part of the family now. So, and you guys, thanks for being a part of the family here on the In the Hangar channel. And also part of our family are our sponsors like Marshall Protective Services, MPSprotects.com, Personal Protection Elevated. Who else?
67 Designs.
67D.com, the best camera, tablet, phone mounts for your plane, your car, your boat. And they're all made here in the U.S. They're great, strong, sturdy. Check out 67D.com.
Z Vision, XE Vision.
XEVision.com. They make landing and taxi lights, and I have a couple on Lola. And I get calls from people at the airport going, wow, that's really bright. So XEVision.com.
And Colton.
Colton Mortgage. ColtonTakingOff.com. And it's run by a pilot, just like pretty much every one of our sponsors are run by pilots. So support the pilot community. You need a residential mortgage, go to ColtonTakingOff.com. Really appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.
In the hangar.